All right, good evening. We are the Girls of Summer. I'm Sarah Powers. That's Emily Cates. Emily, how are you doing tonight?
I'm really good, despite the fact that the Rangers just lost. Um, I'm pretty good though. How are you doing?
I'm equally as well, enjoying summertime. Yeah, that was kind of a bummer, but we still have some good stuff to discuss regarding our favorite team, the Rangers, and some other teams that have kind of been in the news lately. We are here to bring you some good baseball talk as often as we can. And so let's get cracking. Let's start with the Angels because they're kind of on a national news level now. And we kind of care about them a lot, actually, because they're in our Rangers division. So their general manager basically packed up his stuff and said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home," and went home and has since resigned. And this all kind of occurred within the last 24, 36 hours. So, kind of what's your initial take on the fact that there might be some upheaval coming to the Angels, who the Rangers are trying to catch in the standings at the same time?
My initial reaction, I got this ESPN notification about it yesterday, and literally the only one I got was that Jerry DePoto said that it was because of Mike Scioscia, basically, and that was the headline, and all I could do was laugh, which is probably really terrible. But it's not surprising. Well, first of all, we always kind of knew that there was a like disconnect between those two guys, and we always knew there was an issue. But also, even beyond that, the Angels organization has been so crappy lately. And for the past few years, even, the deals that they've decided to sign have been really bad. The connection to their players has been really bad, obviously. We saw it with Josh Hamilton. And so it's really not that surprising to see that this kind of thing would happen to them. And very publicly, basically, the struggle that they've had together, like Mike Scioscia and Jerry DePoto, has been not a secret for like 3 years, 4 years now.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, everyone knew they didn't get along, and so the fact that it was held very public like that, and that no one was probably really that surprised by his resignation, it's just very Angels. Like Artie Moreno's running a really terrible, terrible organization over there. There's nothing good about it right now. I mean, I guess their baseball team's decent, but decent is as good as they're gonna get because everything's just run so terribly. Like it's just insane. But I really am not surprised, and it is kind of funny to me. So.
It is interesting because if you look at some of the deeper details as they've come out throughout this day, especially, everything that DePoto has accused Scioscia of, and the rest of the front office of, and the players are jumping all over DePoto for about certain trying to overemphasize scouting reports and other things and over interfering where he shouldn't be. It sounds dramatically similar to everything we thought was going on with the Rangers, even just last year and the season before, and especially with Nolan Ryan still here. If you listen to it, it is what we thought was going on with the Rangers, and it just goes to show that either it was all highly exaggerated here in Texas, in Arlington, or John Daniels and Nolan Ryan know how to keep their mouth shut when it matters. Either way, I'm glad that, publicly speaking, at least, the franchise I like and love knows how to represent itself much, much better than to let all the dirty laundry out and to just kind of let it seem like nobody really knows what's going on. So I at least have to say that I appreciate that about any drama that JD and Nolan had. And I don't disagree that it was there. I'm sure it was there. I'm just saying they knew how to handle themselves, and it doesn't seem like nearly the dumpster fire that Anaheim does right now. And I mean, just this year, you've had to pay a team. You've had to pay a guy $83 million to go away. You should never have to do that. And we're going to get to why Texas may have to do that in a few minutes. But you should always try your best to avoid that. And and then when you have backlash of you're not going to support him, nobody else around you is really allowed to support him, which is kind of the vibe I got from certain Anaheim people. That just try to, just do your best to avoid those deals. Don't be a petulant child who says, oh, I have a chance to get what he has and take it from him and then not really need it. Because then you're just taking something from someone else because they don't have, so that way they won't have it, not because you want it. And to me, that was kind of the best way to describe the Moreno and Josh relationship. He didn't want JD to have Josh. He didn't need Josh. He didn't want Josh. And so if that's how and the more you just hear about the franchise, it's a dumpster fire.
Yeah, it really is. And like you said earlier about John Daniels and Nolan Ryan, at least publicly, it wasn't that crazy. Obviously, there was tension there. There's no reason that like Jackie Moore would have left and set everything on fire if there wasn't tension there. And obviously Nolan left and all of that stuff. And we always had speculation, but it was never a fact. It was never like we had, oh, well, this guy says this and this guy says this. But we never heard it straight from John Daniels. We never heard it from Nolan. It was just, if it was a disagreement, no one spoke of it. And John Daniels is very adamant about that at all times anyway, even about his trades, his signings, his free agencies, all of that stuff. John Daniels is not going to tell you. And that's something that I love about John Daniels because, one, it's like not really our business. Like, let them handle their own. And so the very public battle between Mike Scioscia and Jerry Dipoto for 4 years is something that's insane to me. And it's just so crazy that Artie Moreno thinks that what he's doing is good, I guess. Or maybe he doesn't think it's good. Maybe he's just being a little shit about everything. I don't know. I don't know. But you clearly took Josh Hamilton because you could, because we all know when Josh signed in Anaheim that it was very much Josh was told the Rangers he was going to give him a chance to match, all of that stuff, and it never happened, and Josh got signed very randomly. So we know that whatever was happening on the Angels end of things was just like, let's get this done really fast so that you're coming with me. Like, because we don't want the Rangers to have you. And then now they get rid of him because they don't want to take care of him, basically. And then they're looking for, even now, trying to find an outfielder with a left-hand bat. And I'm like, well, look, who could have done that for you? You're dumb. You're so dumb. Like, does nothing make sense in your brain to where you had that and you just decided you didn't care anymore?
That astounded me the most when, was it Morosi or Rosenthal? Do you remember who put that out?
I don't remember.
I want to say it was John Paul Morosi, but yeah. I laughed whenever I saw him put that out. Because I'm like, wait, and you just go through the mental checklist real quick and you're like, but you guys just paid $83 million to make that guy go away. So what are you thinking here? Are you thinking? I think that's a fair question right now.
Yeah. For real. Like, I don't understand. Like, for whatever you think that John Daniels is or isn't, like, if you're on Team JD, if you're on Team John Daniels is terrible. I saw somebody on my Facebook yesterday, I think, who was like, John Daniels just made the worst decision since trading Craig Gentry, and it was to send Joey Gallo down. And I was like, well, you clearly don't understand, and that's fine. So you are not a fan of John Daniels. But regardless, that was just a random tangent, but regardless of if you're Team JD or Team not, like, JD sucks, you have to agree that, like, everything about the Rangers, including John Daniels, is way better than anything the Angels have tried to do recently. Like, John Daniels completely, you could have Jerry Dipoto and Artie Moreno if you really wanted them. So I would think everything for John Daniels before I would even think about putting Artie Moreno's name on anything or Jerry Dipoto's name on anything. So
yeah, I'm not surprised he left. I'm just surprised that they let all of that get out so quickly.
Yeah.
And
Jerry Dipoto didn't spare any time. I mean, he decided just to say it was Mike Scioscia's fault, basically. So,
well, and of course, and it just, my hope for the fans who don't like JD, you don't have to like JD. I just hope that you're looking at, especially this situation, you're looking at that and saying it could be a lot worse, because even if it was really as bad as we thought it was, like I said, we didn't know about it. We don't need to know about it. Anaheim fans right now probably feel really crappy about themselves because the Josh stuff blew up in their face big time. And now this is blowing up in their face too. And okay, so you have, Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. What else do you really have to bind that clubhouse together? You don't really have anything. So that leads me to another point where, the Rangers are behind them in the standings. Do you think it's possible for the Rangers to get back into second place and kind of put their foot on their throat a little bit now that they're going to kind of be down and out a little bit?
I'm not entirely sure this will affect the way that the Angels are playing on the field at all. It could, but I don't anticipate that it will. But I think that the Rangers, I don't know. It's going to be up to the Rangers to whether or not they get that hot streak back again that they were riding. The pitching for the Rangers has been a little not that great lately. It was really good for a really long time. Like, they were all pitching really well, and then that's really how they were winning all those games. And Prince, figured his life out, and Mitch Moreland figured his life out, and all that stuff. So, we were able to run a hot streak. So it just really, I think it more depends on the Rangers just getting back on track than the Angels going down. I don't necessarily think that this will affect the way that the Angels are playing on the field. I don't think that the Angels are that great of a team, though. I don't think that they really ever will be that great of a team because they have a crappy farm system and not a lot going on the field already. So it's really sad for Mike Trout, I can tell you that. So I think it was just really up to how the Rangers perform and less about how the Angels are going to perform, really.
Fair enough. And like I said, it could be one of those things where they find a way as a team to pull through this. But the only reason I asked that question is because, like I said, you have Pujols and Trout. What else does the franchise really have right now in its immediate possession that it can rally around? Not much. Mm-hmm. And we'll come back to that idea a little bit when we get to the Rangers, because Adrian Beltre kind of factors into that too, in my thoughts on, transitioning that line of thinking to the Rangers. But real quick, another manager was, I should say, because it's been a couple of weeks now, I think, but the other manager who found himself in hot water was the Padres' Bud Black. And if you're not familiar with kind of the relationship between the Padres and the Rangers, AJ Preller, their new GM, used to be the assistant GM to John Daniels here in Texas. And he did a great job with the scouting department. Unfortunately, he took friend of the show, Don Welke, with him. And we'll see, kind of what they're able to put together. They had their first draft, and we'll kind of see how that pans out. But I bring up the Padres because some people are starting to ask the inevitable question, okay, is he going to be able to steal Wash away from the A's? Because he's a special fielding coordinator for the infielders. Do you think he's going to have any interest in trying to steal him away and bring him to San Diego? I don't think he is, because he saw how averse to I don't want to put words in Wash's mouth, but you could just tell that Wash wasn't in analytics. He wasn't into having you push paper under his nose. He's like, just let me manage my guys, get out there and try to win ball games. And that's fine. That's fair. He's allowed to be that way. But I think that's going to keep them apart instead of maybe seeing any kind of a reunion between AJ and Wash. What do you think?
I tend to think the same way, but at the same time, I don't think that it would surprise me if he did. Only because of the familiarity there, not necessarily his. They are on the same level of thinking or anything like that. Because obviously, we know that Wash had issue with I don't want to say issue like they were mad at each other all the time, but Wash in the front office didn't see eye to eye on a lot of the way that baseball should be played or whatever. I think they worked together fairly well despite their differences. So I'm not trying to say that there was a bad issue there. Wash has actually recently come out and said that he regretted leaving and didn't really have an issue with John Daniels. So beside the point, but I think that I don't think that Wash is the kind of manager that AJ Preller would necessarily want running his team. But at the same time, like I said, the familiarity there, at least he knows Wash, he knows how he operates, he might know how to talk to him, he might know how to have a relationship with him, and it might just be something that comes out of convenience rather than something that comes out of, like, I think that's the best guy for the job. Not that would be the best choice, but just saying that sometimes that kind of stuff happens. And if AJ and Wash have a good history, then it might work in both their favors anyway. But I don't really think so, and I don't think that we'll see Wash in a Padres uniform, really.
That'd be kind of interesting, but and who knows? I mean, I know they've got their interim in place right now, but the off season can bring whatever. And who knows? Maybe Anaheim will have a job opening too. Because and I forgot to mention while we were talking about Mike Scioscia, he can actually opt out of the rest of his contract at the end of this season. I don't know quite how much longer he would have. I think it's probably like a season or two at most, but he can opt out of it. So I can imagine he probably will, because he wants to be the king of Orange County, basically. And Artie Moreno apparently has no problem letting him do that, but it's at the expense of, hey, look, the big wigs are having to do their jobs too, and we're not able to because you keep blocking us. And so, so it'd almost kind of be funny if they do a reverse Dan Jennings in Miami, where he was the GM and then became the manager too. Wouldn't it be weird if Scioscia stayed the manager but then became the GM too? I mean, you might as well do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be terrible, but yeah. Mike Scioscia is, I really can't stand that man. But whatever, Angels, set fire to your team. That's fine. It's more room for us. So,
exactly. Now, even if we were to get past the Angels, we need to talk a little bit about the Astros. They are having a very good season this year. AJ Hinch is, like Bannister is with the Rangers for the most part. He's finding ways to push buttons and get more out of his guys. And I mean, it's good for the fans, especially, after coming off of horrible 100-loss seasons on, I think, back to back to back. It's been bad for them. So, you know what? As a baseball fan, it's good whenever fans can celebrate their team doing well. And especially, with as many Frisco games as you and I have sat through, and we've seen Carlos Correa play with Corpus Christi, now
I saw George Springer too.
Right, yeah. I mean, so you had Springer, and now you have Correa and a couple of other guys coming up. They've got a good system, and it's going to be fun. Yeah. It's going to be fun trying to catch them, and and which is probably why the Cardinals are a little jealous and decided to try to hack into them, which I thought was hilarious. That you try some Mission Impossible BS and it completely backfires on you. But I understand why the Astros would be mad about that too, because they weren't just doing it for weird kicks. They were actually trying to get viable information that it wasn't just. I think when the story first broke last year, it was just, oh well, here's trade proposal emails and stuff like that, and you're like, well, you don't really want to know that, but it's kind of interesting. But then you find out that it's scouting reports and other pretty serious baseball stuff that you don't want to get into the wrong hands, because it can damage a lot of different relationships in your own system, and let alone if you're trying to have a relationship GM to GM between two teams. If somebody else figures out how you're negotiating or whatever, then that opens up a lot of possibilities that not every team needs to know about, and a bunch of other stuff. But how would you feel if they vacated the 2011 World Series and we won it by default that way?
Nah, that's dumb.
Okay, that's what
That's dumb. We don't know what they were doing in 2011. Like, I mean, sure, maybe there's alleged things or whatever, but the Cardinals, regardless of if they're hacking into anybody's system or not, are a good baseball club. They've been for a good baseball club for years. I'm not saying what they did with the Astros was okay. It's very shady and very stupid. But I mean, I guarantee you any baseball club would have tried to take that chance if they could. So it's just the nature of business is always that way. In baseball, its very core is a business. So, or that upper part of baseball is it's just a business. So, you always try to find the way to get the best products, and I'm sure businesses do it all the time, like real like stores and businesses. They steal each other's products all the time. Oh, somebody made this and it succeeded, let me make one that's very similar to that. Like, I mean, it happens. But in 2011, I don't know what the Cardinals were doing. If they were hacking anybody and they weren't hacking us, I don't. It's that's stupid. They deserved that trophy. They won it. As much as I would love to have it, I don't want to have it that way because we lost.
Yeah, that made me laugh to see people suggest that, and it's like, no, you don't want it. Like you said, you don't want it that way. It's not gonna mean anything if that's how you got it. I mean, you want here, I want Yu Darvish running. I want Yu Darvish to be the first one out of the freaking dugout on the bottom of the pile. Don't get hurt. But I want him leading the charge out of the dugout to go celebrate. That's how I want it to happen. Not, oh well, they cheated, so here,
Right. I want it. I mean, as much as I would have loved that 2011 team to celebrate, as much as I want Michael Young to have a ring with the Rangers and Ian Kinsler to have a ring with the Rangers, it's just not going to happen, and it shouldn't have. We lost regardless of anything. We lost, and that was our fault that we lost because you saw the game. So like, that was our fault. That in whatever way you want to cut that, you want to cut it for pitching, you want to cut it for the outfield, you want whatever you want to slice it, it was our fault. So yeah, Cardinals can keep their World Series. It's fine. We will go get another one.
Right on. All right, so let's get into our beloved Rangers. So we kind of hit on the draft a little bit. The Rangers, due to a crappy season last year, not only got the number 4 pick, which they used fairly well to get Dylan Tate from the University of California at Santa Barbara, who's a right-handed pitcher. Yay, pitching. You can never have enough. But he was the top-rated pitcher for them to go get in the whole draft, not only just in their specific draft slot, but in the draft total. So that's pretty awesome that you're going to have a top-rated arm in your farm system. And then in the 3rd round, they also picked up another top-rated arm who was supposed to be the 2nd-rated arm behind Dylan Tate, Michael Machuela from Duke. Now, the reason why we were able to pick him up in the 3rd round was because he had Tommy John surgery about 6 weeks after Yu Darvish did. And he's also another right-handed pitcher. And so you have potential there in young arms, one who has to heal from a very dramatic surgery. But those 2 acquisitions alone are very good for the Rangers going forward because it is going to insert some pitching depth into the lower minor league systems, which is waiting to kind of bloom out. I mean, we can see the guys in Frisco right now and a couple of guys in Hickory who are ready to bump up to Frisco. You can see they're ready, or High Desert even. But they're going to be a part of that new wave that comes in after we see Nick Williams and Nomar Mazara and Joey Gallo up here full time. They're going to be that next wave of, okay, who can we trade from the big league roster to get these guys up, or, whatever. And that's really cool to me. It's even more cool because Machuela and Darvish are becoming BFFs down in Arizona for Tommy John rehab. And which is really cool because I think we hit on this in another previous episode, but it seems like they want Yu Darvish to kind of take on some more leadership roles with some of the younger guys. And I think this is a great place for him to start because it's very lonely down in Arizona. It's just very lonely because they're, young guys who are trying to get into the system, with Spokane or Hickory. But it just gets really lonely and boring down there. So if you have the baddest right-hander in the American League, let alone maybe the whole league, down there to help you kind of acclimate and get used to things, and you're both going through the same rehab process, you've got someone to talk to who is, who understands where you're coming from because he's there with you, literally and kind of metaphorically. So that's going to be a fun relationship to see if anything kind of happens with it, just chit-chatting, talking, because when you see Yu Darvish in the dugout, you see him talking to Colby Lewis a lot. And I would imagine one of the things Colby Lewis is getting him ready for is, hey, look, my time's almost done here. It's going to be all on you now to help lead the staff. And you can start by taking some of these younger guys under your wing, just talking to them, being there for them, So in that regard, I think that's a great place for him to start, is with just kind of rehabbing with Mike. I don't know if you got to pay attention much to the draft, but you can't argue with pitching, right?
Oh no. I didn't really, I didn't get to actually analyze any of the picks or anything like that, but I know John Daniels and I know his staff and I know how they operate. So if it's not pitching, it's a middle infielder. So, it's fine. So pitching is really important, especially these days in baseball. So the fact that he's trying to get the top rated pitchers and we actually acquired them, and who cares if he's coming off Tommy John surgery, you got to pick that guy. Tommy John surgery usually, knock on wood, goes really well for the guys who have it. So why not? Let's grab that guy if he's available. And what's cool about the draft, and sometimes anyway, is that when we get these guys straight out of college, they're already 22, 23 years old. They're already, past their teenage years. They're already kind of developed. They don't have to go through the minor league system exactly the way that the ones that are younger than them have to go through. So we get to see them sooner if they're ready and developed. They've already gone through their college pitching, which serves as a sort of minor league system on its own. Mm-hmm. And we get to see them. We get to see them progress faster. We get to see them in the big league club faster. Sometimes, not saying that's a guarantee or anything, but but the fact that whatever his name was is going Arizona. I know what you said, but it was difficult. So anyway, Mike, yeah. So the fact that he gets to work with Yu Darvish for a year almost, that's pretty great. Yu Darvish is very smart and very capable and very talented. So there's nothing that would indicate that would ever be a bad thing to have one of your new pitchers, your little baby pitchers, start his training out with your best pitcher. So that's pretty neat, actually. I kind of love it. So, not like I said, I haven't dove into all of these the draft picks and all that stuff, but it's really hard to argue with anything when you're getting the top rated pitchers that are available. So I'm down for pitching. Pitching is so important these days in baseball. Pitching is winning everything. You see how many no-hit bids we have this year alone. Not necessarily actual no-hitters, but just guys taking no-hitters into the 7th, 8th innings. Guys, almost having no-hitters and losing it by hitting or a perfect game and then losing it by hitting somebody with a pitch. Or that person leaning into the pitch or whatever.
He leaned into it. Tabata leaned into it.
I know he
right now.
I know he leaned into it. I saw it. I know he leaned into it. But anyway, but we see how dominant pitching can be. It gets more and more of those potential no-hitters happen. It's been a lot. Every day, I swear I get an ESPN on my app a notification that says look, no hitter into the 7th, and I'm again, somebody else is trying to take a no hitter, and so you see how dominant pitching is. So you see how important the depth of your pitching staff is, because it's not just one guy. You have 5 guys in a rotation. You've got to have a good depth there.
Yep.
So I'm always down for pitchers, especially if they're as highly rated as Dylan Tate is. And so Dylan Tate, that did not sound right, but I know that one's right.
No, that is right. Yeah.
Okay. I was it didn't sound right coming out of my mouth, but I actually read a little bit about him, so I knew his story. But so I'm totally down with it. Pitching is always great. One day we'll see 17 middle infielders still, but that's fine. Those are hard to come by, so I support it.
There you go. Speaking of rotation depth, ours is about to get some. Tonight was Matt Harrison's last rehab start, and it didn't go. It didn't go horribly. I think he only gave up 3 earned runs on 5 hits, but there's still a lot of question about his velocity, his command, and you saw Mark Burley pitch against the Rangers. Speaking of guys going, complete game or, close to complete game, almost no hit. I think he only gave up like 2 or 3 hits by the time he exited the game the other night. He's a guy who knows how to command anything. I mean, he could command a marble if you asked him to.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what you're going to need Harrison to do. And there's a lot of questions about whether he can do that. And, it's one of those things where he's under contract. You almost kind of just have to let him try just based on the principle of the thing. And I hope it goes well. I hope he doesn't re-injure himself in some other way, but it's going to be very interesting to see him come back and see what he can do, because it's not looking terrible, but it's looking pretty dicey. And that's just the nature of what he had to come back from. I mean, have your spine fused together. Yeah, you're going to be lucky to walk around and be able to just live. So, I mean, yeah, for him to be able to attempt this at all is phenomenal. It's amazing.
Sorry.
It's kind of hard to know where to gauge the expectations, because it hasn't looked like what it was supposed to. And I think more people are concerned for him just from a health aspect than, okay, what is he going to do for the club? I honestly do believe everybody's best intention is just hope he doesn't hurt himself. Hope he, comes out of this okay. But it is going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Matt Harrison has never been exactly the best pitcher, but he has been decent. So it was something to watch him come back from this injury that he wasn't supposed to come back from. I remember when he first got news that he was going to have this surgery, that there was something seriously wrong with him, that he was very upset because he was told that he probably wouldn't be able to pitch again. And his determination even then was that, no, I'm coming back.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it is incredible that he has actually followed through on that and that he has come back, because I honestly didn't expect him to. But it shows a lot of the heart of these athletes. I think it's just incredible, like how much they are willing to just fight for what they want to do. And I think that's something you can never take away. You want to talk about stats all day long, but like sometimes the fight in these athletes is incredible, and it is insanely inspiring. So as cliche and stupid and whatever you want to call it that sounds like, it's pretty great. Matt Harrison is truly trying to come back from something that he wasn't supposed to come back from. So regardless of what happens now, it's already been an incredible thing for him to at least come back, throw baseballs, try, so I fully support him. You obviously let him try to see what he's got. It can't really get that much worse for this season, so what do you got to lose? So that's what I think. I think that we are trying to say that we'll be cool and playoff contenders, but I'm not entirely sure that that's going to be a thing later. So you just let Matt Harrison try, and, you don't have to keep him if he fails. You don't have to keep putting him in your rotation if he fails. You can go back to what we were doing because it's working fine, I guess. But I just never want to take away from the fact that it is pretty incredible that he is actually back. Like, regardless of what happens now, he can get on that field and fail. It's still a success because he's been able to come back from something that he wasn't supposed to come back from. And it's pretty incredible.
And Martin Perez is probably a couple of weeks away as well. And he's a different story. He was like, look, get me out there. I'm ready. And he's looked pretty good the 2 rehab starts. I got to see him in Frisco. And, of course, when you can make a 20-year-old basically pee his pants when you have a wicked as a changeup as he does. It's pretty cool. But he's, again, I don't want to take away from Harrison, but he's probably going to be the most positive, immediate addition to the rotation. And that's a good thing. I mean, because he's going to be here for a while. So, I mean, obviously you want him, for as many people are as buzzing about what they've seen from him in Round Rock and, wherever else he's rehabbed, it's going to be just a positive addition to this rotation. So I can't wait to see Martin Perez back. depending on how Harrison does, it may not really require too much movement, regarding pitching, somebody getting sent down or whatever. So it's just gonna, we're gonna have to watch it play out. As they say, these things sort themselves out. So I know a lot of people are like, well, what kind of roster moves are they gonna have to make? Who's gonna go down? Who's going to the pen? It's probably gonna end up sorting itself out, because Dutch is still, at least a month away, 6 weeks away, which I'm kind of bummed about. But hopefully he'll get here as soon as he can. But probably not going to have to worry about as much as you may think. And that's just a general statement to the fans. It's probably going to sort itself out. Hopefully not at the expense of Harrison hurting himself again, like I said. But we'll just see how that turns out, because that is going to be something to watch. And it's just, I don't think anything they can do now is going to turn them into a playoff rotation. And they shouldn't expect that of themselves. Yeah. If they get there, though, more power to them.
Right. Like, yeah, that's great.
But I think at this point, Colby Lewis actually said it best last night. Look, we're not trying to meet certain expectations or, do anything certain. We're just trying to go out there and have fun and do what we can to make sure that we're enjoying this. Because that's your life. I mean, most of us go to, 9 to 5, 8 to 5 jobs. And we just kind of muddle through the grind. And they go through a grind too. But they still want to know at the end of the day that they're having fun doing what they're doing. They just want to go out there and play for each other and be a team. And honestly, I think at this point, especially in this kind of a season, that's all you can really ask. Because the guys who are going to come back next year want to know that, okay, this is a band of brothers. This is a brotherhood. This is where I belong. This is a family. I'm back. I'm here. Let's go. And it's not just, a bunch of different guys trying to win a playoff or, whatever. It's guys trying to build a community, build a family. And so I think we just kind of need to temper our expectations. Not that we shouldn't, pay attention to the standings and can we catch the Astros and, we're now a game behind the Angels. I'm glad we're able to talk about that stuff. We're not dead last in the cellar like we were last year. So this is infinitely more fun, is it not?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But
for sure.
But at the same time, just let them have fun, and then you'll have fun,
Yeah.
And that kind of, go ahead.
No, sorry. It's just, I was going to say it's just been a surprise of a season, basically. Like the beginning of the season, I would have never thought that we would have been riding so high in like the month of June. I would have thought that it still would be terrible. I would still be finding $10 seats on StubHub and, go into a half empty ballpark. I for real thought that that's how the whole season was going to go. And I'm not ashamed to admit that it was looking terrible. Okay. Everyone's still hurt. It just was a thing that was happening. And now I can't find a ticket under $20 on StubHub. So thanks everyone. But it's been a surprise, and I'm just going to take it for what it is, because I'm not going to try to get really disappointed when they, come back to reality later, or that they are now kind of in that 6-game losing streak. You can't get that mad when you saw how the season started. So they're going to have their highs and lows, because there's a lot of talent on this club. There's just a lot of mediocre too. So you've got the basic level guys and you've got the really good guys, and somehow that meshes well to have a decent enough season. We may not be last like we were last year, and that's fine, but I'm not going to expect the world from this team. I like that I see them looking like they're having fun too. Like I can actually see that when they're playing baseball. So that's actually pretty great. I'm ready though for Martin Perez, like so ready. I've missed him. I'm ready to watch him pitch again. It's going to be so awesome. So ready for Martin Perez.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to be pleasantly surprised with it. I mean, because his first game out of the gate, he was already hitting 93 on his fastball. He was hitting 86, I think, on his changeup. And so his velocities were only like a couple of ticks, on either side away from where he would want them. And so it's like, really, you're already you're almost close to uncorking, and this is your first outing. He kept himself in great shape. And And I'm going to tell people something, you can argue about all, oh, well, he keeps himself in great shape, but that doesn't mean anything. It means a lot because it means your body is more prepared to get back out there and endure and grind in the heat in the summertime, especially in Texas and especially in Frisco in the middle of all the smoggy junk that happens on a humid day out there. You're ready for it. And not that, we have any guys who are just blatantly out of shape, like, say, a Bartolo Colon or anything like that. But, I mean, there's something to be said about, noting that a guy is keeping himself in good shape because it's going to make it's going to make that much more of a difference for a stamina point of view, at least, And so, he's kept himself in great shape. He said he's felt fine. He had a little growing issue, but, that happens. It's fine. He's over it. He's good. So it's just going to be fun, and I can't wait. And like I said, hopefully we get Derek Holland back in August. I hope.
Yeah, I miss Dutchy too.
And again,
can you imagine? Oh, sorry.
No,
I got really excited at the thought of you, Darvish, Martin Perez, and Derek Holland back together again. And it just got really excited. Sorry. Continue. What?
No, people need to, I'm going to say it again. I know I've said it before and you've said it many times yourself. Back off of Dutch. Okay, he took his dad golfing on Father's Day. He's allowed to do that, I think. Unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know.
People focus way too much on the weirdest things. I was just talking to somebody today about when Prince Fielder, I was talking about how when athletes injure themselves, how terrible it must feel because there's nothing you can do. And I think we've talked about this on the podcast before, actually back when Derek first injured himself, and how when you injure yourself and there's like, I can't even like get out there and do what I want to do. Like I'm mobile and I can do stuff, but I can't like actually do the thing that I want to do most. It's got to be infuriating. It's got to be frustrating. So you got to like put yourself into something that takes your mind off of it. Like how every time people would like complain about Prince Fielder posting about his kids like jumping in the pool while he was recovering from neck surgery, couldn't play baseball, but they didn't want him focusing on his kids either. They were like, oh, you're not focused enough. What was he supposed to do? Sit on his couch and mope all day long? Like, he can't do anything. So like Derek Holland can't come back. He can't. He can't come back right now. It's not a thing that can happen. So let him take his father golfing. Shut up. Let them have lives. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, actually. I'm really not sorry. Let them have lives. They are people. They are real people. And I'm sure it's super frustrating to get injured and not be able to do anything about the fact that you can't do the one thing that you want to do. So leave Derek Holland alone every time. I'm going to yell at you guys every time. Just leave him alone.
Well, and it doesn't do Derek much favor whenever you have Yu Darvish. Is like, whenever he comes out and says, I'm going to learn about this, I want to keep myself in great shape and keep my mind in shape and work on my, it's like he basically laid out his whole plan, about, It's like, well, here's how I'm going to spend my free time. You guys don't have to worry about it. That kind of transparency, I think, kind of doesn't do Dutch any favors because then he's like, just leave me the hell alone. And I'm like,
yeah.
People need to realize you can have both. You can have the guy who's like, look, I've got nothing to hide because I'm going to be a bookworm and a nerd about this. And, I'm going to keep myself in good shape. Yeah. That's just as fine as, hey, look, I want to take my dad out golfing for Father's Day because he loves golf and I want to spend time with him. Okay. If, like you said, if it keeps him sane and it keeps him from going crazy because they're not out there throwing baseballs, then let him do it. I mean,
Well, also, just because Derek Holland's not telling you every second of his free time that he's like, I'm going to go work out now. Now I'm going to do this with my arm. And now I'm going to do this. Doesn't mean he's not doing it. Maybe he just doesn't think that that's interesting. He doesn't care to tell everyone his business. He's just like, I'm going to go do me. I'm going to come back and we're going to be fine. And you just leave him alone. Like, just because he's not telling you every single part of his life doesn't mean he's like just not doing other things. He took his dad golfing, but that doesn't mean that he didn't go to the gym. He was at Dirk's Celebrity Hero game too. Did everyone complain about that too? Because that was really awesome. He didn't do anything. He stood in the dugout the whole time. So he didn't play. So it's fine. But like, it's just. Derek Holland's still obviously in great shape. Have you seen him? He looks like Derek Holland. He didn't like get a beer belly, roll around in the dirt a lot, never take a shower, and drink a lot of beer. He looks like Derek Holland.
His haircut looks horrible, though. Can we agree on that?
I mean, have we ever seen Derek Holland with a good haircut, though?
Good point.
So yeah, we can't even be mad at it, okay? But
fair enough.
It's fine. He's still in shape. It's like when Neftali Feliz went away on Tommy John and came back, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, he's so fat. He looks pregnant." He looked like Neftali Feliz to me. What are you talking about? He was always a thick dude. It's fine.
Yeah, but let's not pretend. Okay, Neftali Feliz is a special case, and let's not pretend.
Well, it is different, but
yeah, it's a little. But I get where you're coming from, though.
Yeah, but Derek obviously hasn't let himself go. He's fine.
Right. And so it looks like also the outfield is going to be a little crowded again. Josh is back. And it looks like Delino DeShields is coming back soon, too. So that leads to a popular question when DeShields comes back, which may be as soon as Friday, this coming Friday on the 3rd. Who would you, and this is just your personal opinion, who would you rather see go down? Ryan Rua, Adam Rosales, or Hanser Alberto? I know who you're going to pick. I just want you to say it out loud.
I did have to think about it for a second, though, because I might pick Ryan Rua, but I mean, has Adam Rosales really been that great lately?
No, and here's the thing. Hanser has the infinitely better glove. And he's got a little pop to him, too. I mean, even if it's out, I think I trust him more to get a productive out than I do Adam Rosales. And bear in mind, Hanser can play second, shortstop, and third very well, mind you. And Rua can play first base and third base, but he'd be your first base outfield option for your bench. So, I mean, you'd be looking at a bench of Rua, Alberto, Corporan, and DeShields. And you know what? That's fine. I mean, that works.
Yeah, Bye, Adam Rosales. You know, I don't nope. I don't need your sprints to first base. I don't need you to sprint to the dugout every time you strike out. I don't need your weird smiles when you're running around for a home run. I don't need any of that. He hasn't even been that great lately. He's not as flexible as Hanser Alberto.
But he pitched. Did you see him pitch?
No, what? Adam Rosales pitched?
He pitched whenever they got blown out.
How did I miss that?
It was the Mark Burley game because remember they got basically blown out.
Right. It was the Mark Burley game. What day was that? I didn't watch that game.
Friday, I think. Yeah.
Friday. That was the dirt. Or no, that was Saturday. Shit. I'm sorry. I was like, that's the day I went to Dirk's. Okay, no, because I work late on Fridays, so that's why I didn't see that game. Okay, I was like, wait, when did I miss that? How did I miss that?
He pitched, and he smiled the whole time.
Did he? Dang it! I wish I had been a part of that. I'm so mad right now. I'll go watch video on it and make fun of him later. It's fine. Everyone who is going to hate me for this, for hating on Adam Rosales, just calm down, okay? Everyone's like, don't you respect all of that passion? And I'm like, I don't respect how dumb it is to sprint to first base on a walk. Like, one day you're gonna pull a hamstring, and then how smart were you? How much passion are you gonna have? Just take a chill pill, like when you're running around the bases of the home run. Just chill. Take chill. You don't have to run that fast, bro. You don't. Those bases aren't going anywhere. The ball went out. You don't have to make it anywhere on time. Calm down. You could take a stroll across the bases and no one could do anything for you. Why are you sprinting? It's just chill. Find your chill, Adam Rosales.
I believe I've hit a nerve.
God, he's like, I don't know, something about that man. I'm sure he's like a super nice guy. I'm sure he's really great. He seems like a friendly dude. But he also seems like that one dude that's just like overly excited about everything. And so he just wants to talk to you like constantly. Like he just wants to keep talking because he's just like so excited about life. And those people are rare. And you should never, ever dampen their spirits because they are like rare flowers in life that like love life. But at some point in time, you're like, please stop talking to me. Like, I get you. That's great. You don't want to be rude, and you're like, please love life the way that you love life. It's wonderful. But I'm gonna go over here and hate life for a second because you won't stop talking to me. Oh God.
Fair enough. Again, I can
mean,
tell I've hit a nerve.
other reasons, that there are like logical reasons why Adam Rosales should go down too, not just that he sprints to first base every time he does anything.
Yeah, let's get back to those for a second.
Reasons being that we discussed earlier where Hanser Alberto has better range and a better glove, and that Ryan Rua would be able to play first base and outfield. Duh.
Yes.
And I like Ryan Rua anyway. I think he's got he's a good bench option. Which Adam Rosales had a really good bench year last year. Because I'm not saying that, I guess he's not terrible, but he's just not been up to that same level this year. So
now,
you kind of just got to do it.
Now, real quick, I want to present, I guess, a sort of dark horse candidate for something happening to them in the wake of the Shields coming back. Leonis Martin is he's kind of treading a thin line between, is his defense enough to keep him up? And if we remember, that was kind of the line Rugi started riding in the, at a certain point in the season. Leonis is now in that same line, and it's going to be the same thing. He's going to go down there and rake, and it's kind of led to the notion that he may be a quadruple A player. And would you be surprised to see him be the one who has something happen to him, so to speak?
Mm-hmm. This whole time you were telling me that Rua was going to be on the bench, I was really confused, but now I get it. Anyway, not Rua, DeShields. Okay. For some reason, I forgot that Leonis Martin was a person, which is terrible. Because I was like, wait, Josh, Chu, Delino. Why would Delino be a bench person, in my head? But then I didn't want to sound stupid, and I would have because I forgot about Leonis Martin, which is kind of speaks for itself.
Yeah.
So, whoops. But I still would be surprised to see them put him back down to AAA. I very well could see the argument that he is a quadruple A player. I definitely can see that. We've seen him struggle for 2 seasons now, basically, where he has those moments where he's really great, and then all of a sudden he's just not anymore. He's got it's the Chris Davis effect, obviously, the quadruple A player, where you see it and you're like, God, why can't you do that all the time? And then he doesn't do that, and then you're like, I tried, Leonis. I would like to see Leonis develop better, so maybe going to AAA and hoping that he's not a quadruple A player would be a good option. I wouldn't think that it would happen, though, with the Shields coming back. For some reason, I just don't see them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I think they have a little bit more faith in Leonis than to try to do that with him. Try to work it out up here because he's been here for so long already, kind of thing.
No, that's a good point. And I guess it would be better just to have him be on the bench and have Delino get his hacks in, and just get rid of Adam Rosales if he chose to go that route.
I really love Delino DeShields, so I'm really happy he's coming back. For real. He has been such a, pleasant thing that I was unexpected because I didn't even really know who he was before this season. So I'm very on board with Delino DeShields. He is so fast, too.
And so we're going to wrap up real quick with...
Sorry. I ramble.
No, this is just kind of the last point I had. About... an interesting comparison has come up, and our friend Jason Southward kind of put it out there on Twitter. And he's not wrong. I get where he's coming from, but it's just kind of interesting to think about. He said, if there's anybody in the dugout who Joey Gallo needs to talk to right now, it's Rougned Odor. Because he's about to have the same thing happen to him, and Rugi came out of it like a rose. And it's true, he did. I mean, Rugi is doing great right now. That's a false equivalence to me because you're assuming that they're both going to get the exact same nuances and instruction and subtleties out of their time down in Round Rock. And I don't think that's fair to either guy. It's certainly not fair to Gallo, who, truth be told, I mean, yes, he had that awesome home run off Clayton Kershaw, which is impossible to do, so more power to him. But he's got a lot to work on. And to be perfectly honest, Rugned's issue was just him getting out of his own head and learning how to rebound from something like this, how not to stay down so long. And like I said, as you can see, it looks like he figured it out pretty well. Not that Joey isn't that same way, but you can't assume that they are. So that's, like I said, that's kind of a false equivalence in my mind. But are you glad Gallo got sent down, or should he have stayed up?
No, Gallo should have been sent down. I think it's also a false equivalency to the fact that we knew from the day that Joey Gallo came to the MLB club that Joey Gallo wasn't ready. We knew. John Daniels knew. He said it. He said that this is just to help his development, that he wouldn't be up here forever. As soon as everyone that needed, well, at the time it was Adrian Beltre, but then, we lost other people. So he was probably up here longer than he was supposed to be when then they originally had planned, and that's fine. And he has great potential, like Joey Gallo does. Obviously, the Clayton Kershaw home run, that's insane. That's Clayton Kershaw. That's the best pitcher in the league, or one of them, arguably, whatever you want to say. I don't really care. It's Clayton Kershaw. That's insane. And yeah, he can hit the ball really far, and that's really awesome. And it's so great to watch, but his strikeout percentage is still like 45%, and that is way too high. Mike Trout has a really high strikeout percentage too, but do you know what he has on top of that is production?
Yeah.
And Joey Gallo didn't have that. He actually had a pretty decent on-base percentage. I was looking at him the other day whenever he was up here. But again, it's not a very big sample size, one. And two, other than home runs and striking out, he wasn't producing enough. It wasn't a lot of good things. There weren't a lot of good things happening to him. And striking out over and over and over again, watching a player do it so as many times as he did, like 4 strikeout games, it's so frustrating, because strikeouts are probably like the least desired way to get out. They're extremely unproductive. You're never ever going to get production from a strikeout. Well, hardly. Maybe that one time the catcher drops the ball. But, you're not going to get production from a strikeout, whereas a ground ball, you could get production from a ground ball. You can get production from a fly ball. You can get production from contact, regardless of what happens after the contact. But when you're not making contact with the ball, the likelihood of you getting production is very, very slim. So when your strikeout rate is 45%, it was like 43.9 or something like that. I don't know. When it's that high, it's way, way too much. And we always knew that Joey Gallo struck out a lot. Josh Hamilton strikes out a lot. Mike Trout strikes out a lot. It just is what it is for those types of hitters that mash home runs like that. A lot of the times they do strike out a whole lot. But if you're not backing it up with production, then your high strikeout rate doesn't justify itself. Yep. But, and to be fair to like Mike Trout, his strikeout rate is not in the 40s. So there's that. So and you saw Joey Gallo when he was at third base make some mental errors, because he's still young and still in production, and that those errors happen. I'm not saying that he's bad because of them. I'm saying that he's still learning. And we saw them try to throw him in the outfield, which probably wasn't the greatest idea in the world, but it is what it is, and it happened. And we saw him take some crazy routes. Even in the same Dodgers game, was it that he took a weird route to the ball but still managed to catch it? So, like, Joey's got talent out. Like, he's talented. He's going to be a good baseball player, but he still has development left, and we knew that from day one. So to be like outraged that they sent him back down is really weird to me, because we knew the day he came up, John Daniels said it was temporary. He said it was just going to be something for his development, because to get a taste at the big league club probably is helping him understand how it works, go back down, learn some more stuff, and then come back up when you're ready, because you already have been there, so you kind of get it. So he definitely needed to be sent down.
Well said. And you can't be too mad. I mean, and to kind of wrap up the Rangers talk here, you have people who, like our friend Michael Tepid over at Lone Star Ball. He sits in Frisco almost every homestand, and he threw out some helpful hints before Gallo got called up. He's like, "Look, this is going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. Just enjoy the fact that he's up here and learning." And but people still freaked out, and it's like, no, you were warned. You knew. It just seemed like so much was still a surprise, even though the warning signs were there. And so I felt bad for him in that sense, because people were ripping on him, and some people even were trying to call him a bust. And like, no, he's learning. Let him learn. Let him get his hacks in. He's going to go back down. And it's going to be okay. Again, don't freak out over these guys.
Yeah, no, and you, especially from the day that Joey got up here, we were told he wasn't ready. We knew he wasn't ready. Everyone knew he wasn't ready. And it wasn't about him being ready. It was about him learning. So you can't lose a whole lot on this season. So why not give him a shot for a second so he can get familiar with how a big league club works? Go back down, learn some more stuff, and get his life together. It's just so crazy how the reaction is when everyone was like, look at Joey, this is what we expected, when he struck out 4 times in the game. But he's facing pitching that is incredibly different than what he's used to. So He came from AA to the majors. Yeah. So just take a second, let him learn. Don't call him a bust yet. Sure, 4 years down the road when he's still doing this, maybe, but he's still give him a second.
All right. On that note, we're going to wrap up now. Emily, where can people find you on Twitter?
I am at M like Spaceball. It's EM, and then Spaceball is all the same.
And I am at SPOW, POW 26 on Twitter. So find us, chat with us. So do you have any final shots or parting thoughts for us tonight?
I'm not giving in to Mitch Moreland yet. We didn't address him, so I felt like I needed to say that. Let me tell you guys, if he can keep this up for the whole season, I will tell you that he has had a really great season. But I'm not going to say that Mitch Moreland is a good baseball player based off of one season when he's had several chances. He's been in the league 6 years. So you can't come at me and be like, see, we told you he's good, when he's been in the league for that long and has only proved one season worth. You can come at me in 3 years if he's still doing this. I will give in, but not yet. I'm not doing it yet. I'm stubborn. I mean, I'll admit he's doing really well right now. How do you even you can't even be mad at him. He's really good first baseman. He's hitting bombs left and right. Okay, Mitch Moreland.
No, I mean, it's on that note. That was kind of be mine too. But it's nice to see him, staying healthy. I think that's the primary part, is just staying healthy. Hitting comes and goes. It fluctuates. So, as long as he's able to keep up with it, which apparently he is, then, more power to him. And my final thought is a hearty congratulations to our aforementioned friend, Michael Tepid. He is now a proud papa of a precious baby little girl who was born, I believe, the day of the first of the Baltimore games. So she got to see Colby Lewis straight out of the womb give up some home runs. So welcome to Rangers fandom, little one. We're glad to have you.
It's so awesome.
I like what he said last night too. Rugi made an error that was supposed to end the inning, and he put it out on Twitter. My daughter is a day old, but that means she's old enough to know that Uncle Rugi had his head up his ass a little bit.
Yeah, I saw that tweet. Yeah, that's so great, though.
So congratulations to them. And speaking of babies, I think Yu Darvish's is on the way sometime this month. If I read his estimations from spring training right, I think they said it was going to be sometime in the summer, right around the All-Star break-ish. Because people were freaked out that he was going to miss the All-Star break for some weird reason. It's like, let him go see his baby.
Right.
Again,
I
leave
forgot
them
that he was
alone.
pregnant. Yeah, I forgot that his girlfriend was pregnant. My best friend is gonna have a baby anytime soon. So that'll be fun.
So it's apparently the summer of babies. Good
Yeah, I
job, babies.
guess. She's my little godson. I'm gonna be a godmother sometime in the next 2 weeks.
Aw.
So
All right.
I'm
Well,
excited.
again, I'm Sarah. That's Emily, and we will see you guys later.